Oh, hi. I'm Jen, and welcome to my vlog space. And today we're going to be doing a vlog about tap dance at competition. So, I was a competition dancer growing up for years, at least like 6 or 7 years growing up. And then I was fortunate enough to have a studio that was kind of college aged when I was in college, and they did competition too, which was great because I wasn't ready to be done competing. It took a while before I was like ready to let that part of my life go. Um, and since then, I've been choreographing and coaching for competitions since 2004. It's a really long time. But so I've learned a lot from the student's perspective and the teacher's perspective and the outside choreographer's perspective, and even from the judge's perspective, because I have judged competitions before as well. And I've learned a lot that I feel like I want to share with you guys, whether you are competition dancers or you are a competition choreographer or teacher, or maybe just like a spectator or a parent, even. I just wanted to share with you things that I've learned and give you a couple tips on if you really, really want to score well. Here's some good ways to help make sure that happens. I can never guarantee anything, and one of the first things that I learned will explain why. So, first we'll talk about things I learned, then we'll talk about tips. So, first thing I learned about competition is that the score is straight up the judge's opinions. You can bring the same dance and do it exactly the same at 3 different competitions, and you will get 3 different scores because it's all the judge's perspective, it is the judge's opinion. So, that's why I can't guarantee. I can't go, oh, well, if you do these things, you'll score perfect. You can do the dance absolutely perfect, but maybe the judge didn't like the song, or maybe the judge sneezed when you did your big trick and didn't realize that it was with the beat, Like, it's all the judge's opinion. So take it to heart, but don't. Because at the end of the day what you can do, and one group of judges saying that maybe it's not the best thing that they've ever seen, that doesn't mean it's not the best thing in the world. It's just their opinion. And they could give you good feedback. That's absolutely, but you don't have to take it to like, oh, well, I guess the anvil's dropped and I'm just not that good. That's not what it's about. So, second thing I learned, most often 2 out of the 3 judges on the panel don't know anything about tap. And I wish that wasn't true. And one time it wasn't. I was judging a competition and literally all 4 of the judges were tap dancers. It was me and I forget her last name, but her first name is Isis, and she's just incredible. And then Peter Sabastino and Alexis Giuliano. Like, that was the judging panel, and I'm like, oh, tap dancers, you're getting some good comments today. So that was really, really cool. But most of the time, 2 out of the 3 judges have never tapped, don't own a pair of tap shoes, don't even know the first thing about tap. And you kind of have to go into competition knowing that, especially as a tap dancer, that you're probably only going to get usable judges' comments and feedback from one person if you're lucky. I've been to a competition before where none of the judges were the tap teacher. They had tapped before a few times, but they just didn't know a whole lot about tap. So I got a lot of feedback on my arm movements and my stage placement, but I didn't get enough on the actual technique. Just the way it goes. The next thing I learned, classics often do better than modern stuff when it comes to tap. If you just want a dance that you know is going to score well, do something jazzy or musical theater like. Yeah, those tend to do better. The classic tap dances tend to do better than something that's really like highbrow and modern, or not even like classic, just something super high energy. I had a friend who owned a studio, and they brought 2 tap dances by the same like group of kids, with the same group of kids. One of them was Candyman, but the clean version, don't worry. Super classic. It had heeled taps. It was super fast and flashy and great. And then she did another dance to Satellite by Dave Matthews Band. which actually inspired me to make my own piece to that for Inktober last year. And the Satellite just blew my mind. As a musician, as a tap dancer, I watched it. It was so clean. The rhythms were so intricate because that song is very difficult. The time signature is crazy. And it was just beautiful. And it got like, and don't even get me started on awards and how they're ranked and stuff, but it got like the third highest award. There was like platinum and high gold, or it was like double platinum, and then high gold or something. It got high gold. And I was like, no one made a mistake. I heard it. I watched it from the side of the stage. I was right there. Not one person made a mistake in that dance. And if they did, I didn't notice it at all. And I'm a tap dancer. I would notice. And the other dance, the high energy dance, I could see like it was super, super fast. And really nobody made any mistakes in that one either. But it was like the same caliber, but the rhythms weren't as intricate. They weren't as tricky. I honestly would say, even though that piece was faster, it wasn't nearly as hard. That won double platinum and like an overall. So that was the day I really learned that. Since then, I have learned that through my own experience. Like, okay, high energy pieces, classic pieces, that's what's going to get a higher score rather than something like a ballad with tap dance to it. That's not going to score that well, unless it's like a crazy fast kind of ignoring the song kind of solo. If it's just not going to score as well as something high energy. And that's just in my experience. You guys might have had a different experience. If you have, please write that down below. I love hearing about these things, especially if it's different from what I remember. So, that brings me to my next one. Fast and flashy. That actually relates to the last one. Fast and flashy does a lot better than rhythmic and meaningful. Just like that story. Not just like the type of song, but the type of dance. Doing something that's very, very fast. It doesn't even, what I've noticed sometimes, especially if the judges aren't tappers, it doesn't even need to fit the music that well. It just needs to be fast and flashy. I had a dancer who's like, she was a human metronome, and I gave her a piece that was just really accenting the music and showing off what she could do tricks-wise, but also just rhythmically. And there was another dancer at the same studio that had a dance, and it was good, but it was sloppy, and it's only because it was just so fast for her. Now, she's a really good tapper, but that dance was not as clean as it could have been just because it was just so fast. Like, wow, fast. And she did so much better than my dancer, who was so perfect in what she was doing, just because her rhythms were a little slower, but like perfectly on time with the music, versus the other one, which wasn't perfectly on time with the music, but they were so fast the judges went, oh, I love that, yes, keep going. And it's like, that was the day that I learned that sometimes you can't bring art to a dance competition. You got to bring just a dance to a dance competition. They don't want to see art. They don't want to, for the most part, they don't want to see art. They want to see fast. That's what I learned. I have been to some competitions that really appreciate art. And if I were to still be choosing the competitions to go to, I would be going to those for sure. I'm not going to list which ones do and which don't. I don't want to start any debates, but this has been my experience, that if you bring something like Rhythm Theory has a dance to Hallelujah by Pentatonics, which is originally Leonard Cohen, but you know what I mean. Beautiful, really meaningful, lots of counterpoint. And then we also have Mic Drop and Wonderland, which you guys might have seen those videos recently. I know if I brought those to competition, Mic Drop and Wonderland would kill the competition, and Hallelujah would get nothing. Now ask me which one's harder. Hallelujah is way harder, but it wouldn't get as much. And one day I might actually bring my girls to competition just to prove that, but we technically can't because we're professionals. But anyway, another thing I learned, competition is wonderful for the experience, but not wonderful for the feedback. For the most part, especially, again, since a lot of the judges don't know tap, you don't get the best feedback. If you're going to competition because you look at the judges panel and you go, wow, these people are professionals. I want them to see me tap. I want them to see like what I can do and give me feedback to make me even better. They can't know your true ability just by watching you do one dance. If the reason you're going to competition is for the feedback, don't spend your money on the competition. Take that money and get a private lesson with one of those instructors/judges. See if they offer private instruction or somebody of that caliber. Doing dance competitions, I always got my feedback on solos, and I'm like, okay, cool, yeah, I have to use my arms more. I'm supposed to use the stage more? Like, wait, I was by the mic. Last time they yelled at me for not being by the mic and stuff like that. And that it cost $100 for me to enter the solo, right? Versus I spent $100 to have a private lesson with Debbie D, the tap master of Florida. That I got way more out of, like so much feedback in just 1 hour, just working one-on-one with her. So if the reason you're doing competition is for that, I would say spend that money on private lessons with these masters. Like Anthony Locascio does private lessons, and Debbie D, I know she did private lessons. I don't know if she still does, but like spend it on a workshop instead where you can just take classes from masters and really, really get feedback rather than just showing 2.5 minutes of something that you can do and hoping to get a couple of good comments. Just saying. And then the last thing is, I'm not trying to say don't do competition. Because it is worthwhile for the experience to get out there and get on stage, whether you're in a group or you're doing a solo. It is so worth it. But, like I said, there's all these things that I've learned that have made me go, maybe not, but maybe. One thing that is worth it, you may not win, but you might get noticed. As a choreographer, I've been noticed and have gotten jobs based on what I've brought to competition. I brought a Marvel versus DC tap piece, and everyone who knows me is like, of course you did. And one of the other studios in town noticed that I did a really, really cool and fun piece, and they liked my choreography, and they offered me a job teaching for them. So I had to say no because they were too close to the studio I was currently teaching at the time, but the offer was there. And so as a choreographer, you can get noticed with what you bring because it gets seen by all the dancers in town. And as a dancer, you could get seen because, like, you don't know if there's college scouts attending these competitions. You don't know if there's talent agents attending these competitions. You could get noticed. So it is worth doing. The only reason I said don't do the competition, get a private lesson, is if the only reason you're doing it is for feedback, there are better ways to get it. I did it for the experience, the fun, the trophies, why not? I don't have any of them anymore, but whatever. And then now I want to turn to advice. If you want to do competition and you want to try to score well, I just have a few pieces of advice that I always give my students. My students are actually going to be competing this weekend as I'm filming this, probably not as I post it, but this weekend, like just a couple days from now, they're going to be competing, and I have class with them tomorrow, and I will be saying all of these things to them. So I wanted to share these with you as well. Number 1, stay off your heels. Because if the judges don't know tap, they at least know that you shouldn't be flat-footed when you're tapping. Trust me. Even a ballet judge that knows nothing but ballet and contemporary, they always say, make sure you stay off your heels, girls, or make sure you stay off your heels, tappers. So stay off your heels. Unless it's a stomp, unless you're supposed to have your flat foot on the ground, keep your heels off the floor. They will notice that, and they will dock you points for that. If you can, as a choreographer, or if you can, as a student, ask your choreographer to do this. If you want to make sure that you don't lose any points on arms, choreograph them. Make sure that you choreograph them, because at least one judge, usually the jazz guy, the jazz person, you really should choreograph the arms a little bit more. That's like the biggest comment I get from people that don't know tap, but at the same time, it does give you more uniformity, and it stops somebody from having just like noodly arms and you not being able to do anything about it. So choreograph the arms, especially for younger dancers. With my older dancers, I don't choreograph the arms. Not because I don't want them to do well, and sometimes they do get points off for it, but because I want them to learn how to hold their own arms and use them and carry them and not just dangle. Because they're old enough that they need to work on that. With the younger kids, choreograph them. And if you want to make sure that you don't have any negative points at all on arms, have them choreographed if it's a solo. Just take the guesswork out of it. Choreograph your arms, because 2 out of the 3 judges are only going to be looking at the arms at least half the time. Okay, this brings me back to something I said earlier when I was just like, wait, this judge's comment, they want me to use more of the stage, but last time they yelled at me for not being downstage by the mic. Do both. Make sure that when you start the piece and for the most of the duration of the piece, you are downstage by that mic. But if you have a section of your dance where it's not as rhythmically intricate and maybe you're doing like a couple of turns, use more of the stage so that you just check that box and they can't yell at you for it. Just, if you have a slide section, slide a little extra to the right and to the left so that you use more of the stage so that they go, oh, okay, she was downstage, and she used the stage, like just make sure you just check that box, because I've never not had at least one person say, you really should use more of the stage, when I'm sitting there like on a platform at the front going, I used my whole platform. Does that count? That's the kind of comment you would give like a jazz dance or a contemporary dance. You'd be like, yeah, travel more, use more of the stage. But if you're a tap dancer and the mic is downstage, if you have to choose, default to being downstage so that they can hear you. They might say like you should use more of the stage, but most of the time, that's the thing. If you're too far from the mic and they can't hear you, that will upset them more. So if you have to choose one, default to staying downstage right by that mic. Okay, next piece of advice. This has nothing to do with getting a good score. If they come out good, always buy a video from the competition, because now you have a professional quality video of a dance that you did. Why is this important? Video auditions, resumes, demo reels, YouTube, Instagram. You have a professional quality video of a dance that you did. Even if you messed up one part, cut it and just put a snippet of it that you didn't mess up. Professional quality video that you were in costume for. The stage looks nice. You don't have to go scout a location and do it with somebody else later. You have it. Especially if your dance goes perfectly, buy that video. Don't skimp on that. Buy that video. And the same thing goes for photos. If there's at least a few photos that you can get, and see if you can have other parents there that can go in, or like other students whose parents are buying, that can go in with you, on that with you. Words. If there's a couple of photos that you can get, like professional quality photos of you dancing, again, Instagram, resumes, headshots, and maybe not headshots, but like dance photos that are good for auditions, you want those. So look, always look. Don't be like, no, I'm not spending money on photos, I'm not spending money on video. Look at them, because these might be exactly what you need for an audition, especially a college audition. Some of them do only take now, because of the pandemic, they're only taking video auditions. That would be a really, really good video to send them. It's on a stage. It's not like in a studio or in a living room or something. And then my last piece of advice is and this is one that gets me, because I'm a human metronome as well. And so like I'm always with the music. If you're in a group, stay together. If you're a soloist, stay with the music. And what do I mean by that? If you're in a group dance and the whole group is off of the music, but you hear the music and you want to be on time, stay with the group. If you have to choose between being with the music and staying with the group, stay with the group, because at competition, it matters more that everyone is tapping together than one person knew where the music was. And you probably think you can pull everybody back onto the music, but chances are they're nervous, they're blinded by the lights, they're looking at the judges, they're trying to find their mom or dad out in the audience. They're not paying attention to you as one person in a group. Stay with the group. as best you can. Subtly try to pull them, like little by little. Maybe if there's like a reset part where like all of a sudden you stop and then you start again, maybe like 5, 6, 7, 8. I don't know, like find some way to get everyone back on. But if you have to choose between being with the music and being with the group, stay with the group. But if you're a soloist, stay with the music. There's no group to be with. You just have to make sure that you are staying with the music at all times. Because the one thing a tap dancer, if there's a tap judge, the one thing they're going to say more than anything is like, make sure you stay in the pocket of the music. Make sure you stay in that pocket. Make sure you stay with the song. In the pocket of the music means like right in that beat, you know? So that's the thing that tap dancers are going to say. When I was on that panel of 4 tappers, that's like the only thing that came out of our mouths when we were doing the like judging tap pieces. So yeah. Anyway, those are some tips for competition, and that's a list of what I learned as a dancer, choreographer, and teacher for competition. I know competition season is like basically over as I'm posting this, but hey, better late than never, right? But nationals might be happening, and I know competitions are a little weird this year. I know a lot of them have block scheduling. I know in a lot of parts of the world you guys haven't been able to have competitions this year, so hopefully you can take this advice into next year should you guys be able to have competitions. I want to say lucky enough to be in a part of the world that was a little bit more open and able to do these things like competitions, but at the same time, I am of the belief that we should not have been open, and we should have been a little bit more like the rest of the world and the rest of this country. But, you know, is what it is. I live where I live, and I can just do my best to keep my students and myself safe. So hopefully you guys have been safe and healthy through this competition season if you've been able to compete, or hopefully you guys are just so excited and ready to compete next year, or, you know, maybe you're just reminiscing on your competition days by watching this video. I don't know, but I hope you guys had fun with me on this vlog today. If you're not already subscribed, hit that subscribe button and join the Tap fam. I have vlogs like this, but I also have choreography tutorials, step tutorials, technique exercises, bonus videos, challenges. If you didn't see me do like tap burpees, why did I do this? Lots of fun videos. Don't forget to also hit that thumbs up button so other tap dancers can find this easier. And yeah, I had a blast chatting with you guys today. And as always, thank you for dancing with me.